Here's something that doesn't make sense. There are people right now, people with average salaries, nothing special, no inheritance, no side hustle empire, who will retire with over $1 million, and most of them have no idea it's coming. They didn't follow a guru. They didn't grind 18 hours a day. They didn't pick the right stock at the right time. So what did they do? That's the weird part. In a lot of cases, not much. And that's exactly what this video is about. Because when you look at how accidental millionaires actually got there, the pattern isn't what you'd expect. It's not about discipline. It's not about sacrifice. It's not even about being smart with money. It's about something much stranger, something almost invisible. Stick with me here. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm Garrett, and I want to be upfront with you. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm someone who got obsessed with one question. Why do some people end up wealthy without ever really trying, while others try everything and still feel stuck? I started pulling on that thread, and what I found completely changed how I think about money. The answer isn't about income. It's not about budgets. It's not about sacrifice. It's about something that happens quietly, underneath everything else. Something most people never notice until it's already done its work. Let me show you what I mean. We have this idea that becoming a millionaire is something you pursue. You make a plan. You stick to it. You sacrifice now to win later. And sure, that can work. But here's the thing that nobody talks about. A lot of millionaires didn't pursue it. It sort of happened around them. Studies of self-made millionaires consistently show that a huge percentage of them, we're talking the majority, didn't have a dramatic wealth-building strategy. They just did a few things quietly, early on, and then kind of forgot about it. That's the part that breaks people's brains. Because we're wired to believe that big results require big effort, that wealth has to be hard, that if it feels easy, you're probably doing it wrong. But what if that's backwards? What if the reason most people don't build wealth isn't because they're not trying hard enough, but because they're trying wrong? Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus is 34. He works in logistics, makes about $58,000 a year. Nothing flashy. He drives a used Honda. His apartment is fine, not impressive. He shops at regular grocery stores. He doesn't day trade. He doesn't have a podcast. He doesn't think about money that often, honestly. But Marcus started one thing at 24. When he got his first real job, his HR rep mentioned the 401k enrollment form. Marcus almost skipped it, but he figured, it's automatic, whatever. And he set it to 8% of his paycheck. Then he forgot about it, got a raise at 27. Life got a little nicer. Didn't change the 401k. Got another raise at 30. Moved to a slightly bigger apartment, still didn't change the 401k. Now he's 34. And that account? Without Marcus ever thinking about it, it's already past $140,000. At his current trajectory, Marcus will retire with somewhere between $1.2 and $1.8 million, and Marcus genuinely doesn't feel like he's done anything special. That's not an accident of luck. That's an accident of structure. Here's what Marcus stumbled into, without knowing it. He didn't beat the market. He didn't make brilliant investment choices. He just set up a system that ran in the background of his life. And that system had one property that makes it almost magical. It compounds. Now I know you've heard about compound interest before. Everyone talks about it. But I want to show you why most people intellectually understand it and emotionally ignore it. Because those are two very different things. Most people hear compound interest and nod. Yeah, okay. Money grows. Got it. But here's what it actually means. If Marcus puts in $1,000 at age 24, by age 64, at a modest 7% return, that single $1,000 becomes almost $15,000 without him touching it, without him thinking about it, without him doing anything. Now multiply that by every paycheck he ever contributed. The money he saved in his 20s does more work than the money he saves in his 40s and 50s. Combined. That's not a metaphor, that's just math. But here's the painful part. Most people don't start until their 30s or 40s, and by then, they've given up the most powerful years. The years when time does the heavy lifting. Why? Why do so many people wait? That's where it gets psychological. Your brain has a dirty secret. When it thinks about your future self, the version of you 10, 20, 30 years from now, it doesn't treat that person like you. Brain scans show this, literally. When you think about your future self, the area of your brain that lights up is the same area that activates when you think about a stranger. Not you, a stranger. So when you say, "I'll start saving later," your brain isn't really saying, "I'll do it for myself." It's saying, "Let that other person deal with it." And that stranger, your 60-year-old self, can't fight back, can't argue, can't show up in the room. So they lose every single time. This is why willpower-based financial advice doesn't really work. You can't white-knuckle your way into caring about someone your brain has literally categorized as not you. But Marcus didn't have to care. His system ran automatically. He didn't have to negotiate with his present self every month. The decision was made once, at 24, half distracted during HR onboarding, and it never had to be made again. The accidental millionaire's secret isn't discipline. It's removing the decision from the equation entirely. Here's something that should bother you. Studies consistently show that lottery winners, people who receive sudden, massive windfalls, are no wealthier 5 years later than people who never won. In some cases, they're worse off. Meanwhile, the boring Marcuses of the world, the ones who just kept their automatic contributions running, quietly accumulate more than most lottery winners ever had. How is that possible? Because the lottery winner received a lump sum without a system, without a structure that kept generating more. The money hit, and without a foundation, it drained right back out. Marcus never got a windfall. He just had a quiet engine running in the background. That engine? That's the actual wealth. So I went deeper on this. I wanted to understand, across all these accidental millionaires, what were the actual common threads? Not the ones people talk about, the real ones. And I kept finding the same 3 things. 1, automation. They set things up to run without them. Automatic savings, automatic investments, automatic contributions. They didn't trust themselves to do it manually every month. Not because they were undisciplined, but because they understood, maybe intuitively, that willpower is unreliable. The system doesn't need willpower. It just runs. 2, lifestyle lag. This is the sneaky one. When they got a raise, they didn't immediately upgrade their life, not because they were martyrs, but because the raise came, and the automatic contribution percentage stayed the same, which meant in dollar terms, they were now saving more without changing a thing. Lifestyle inflation didn't get ahead of them because they never consciously invited it in. And 3, this might be the most surprising one. Invisibility. The money was out of sight, out of mind. In a 401k, they checked maybe once a year. They didn't watch the balance daily. They didn't stress over market dips. They didn't make emotional decisions based on what the market did on a Tuesday. Because they weren't watching, they didn't panic. And not panicking during market drops, that alone, is responsible for a significant portion of long-term investment returns. The accidental millionaire's biggest superpower? Benign neglect. Okay, now here's the one that changes everything. All of this. The automation, the lifestyle lag, the invisibility. They're tactics. And they work. But the real reason accidental millionaires succeed where intentional savers often fail? It never became about identity. Think about this. When someone decides they're going to become rich, they start tracking everything, obsessing over every purchase, feeling guilty when they slip up, building their whole self-concept around financial discipline. And what happens? Decision fatigue, guilt, rebellion. They slip once, feel like a failure, and give up. The accidental millionaire never built that identity. They weren't a saver. They weren't frugal. They weren't grinding toward a goal. They were just a normal person with an automatic deduction they set up once and mostly forgot. No ego wrapped up in it. No identity to protect or fail. When you don't make it part of your identity, you can't fail at it. The system just runs. Month after month, year after year. The people who tried the hardest were often undone by their own intensity. The people who barely tried kept their system running through inertia. That's the paradox. Now here's the part that might sting a little. If you've been told your whole life that wealth requires hustle, this is a hard pill, because what we're describing is essentially set it up correctly once, and then almost nothing you do after that matters that much. The hard part isn't the decades of saving. The hard part is the one decision, the initial setup, the one moment where you choose automation over manual control. That's it. That's the door. And most people never walk through it. Not because they can't afford to, but because they're waiting for the right time, waiting until they have more money, waiting until they understand investing better, waiting until they feel ready. But the waiting is exactly what robs them of the thing that makes it work: time. Marcus didn't know what he was doing at 24. That's kind of the point. He was half distracted. He just filled out the form. The best financial decision he ever made was made almost by accident. So what does this actually mean for you? Not a 10-step plan, not a rigid budget, just the actual mechanism, the thing that makes the accidental version work. Step 1. Automate before you can spend it. Whatever savings or investment vehicle you have access to, 401k, IRA, even a basic index fund, set up an automatic contribution. Not when you have extra money, before you even see the money. Have it pulled before it hits your checking account. This is the single most important move. Everything else is secondary. Step 2. Set it at the edge of comfort. Not so high it hurts, not so low it doesn't matter. Somewhere that makes you go, okay, that's slightly uncomfortable, but manageable. That's your number. Start there. Step 3. Automate increases. Many 401k plans now let you set automatic annual increases, like 1% per year. Enable it. You won't notice 1%, but over 10 years, it compounds dramatically. Step 4. Don't watch it obsessively. Check in once a year, rebalance if needed, then close the tab. The goal is benign neglect. The market will go up and down. Your job is to not interfere. That's it. That's the whole playbook. No spreadsheets required. No extreme frugality. No giving up coffee. Just a system that runs quietly in the background of your actual life. Here's the thing I keep coming back to. The world sells us this image of the self-made millionaire as someone intense, obsessed, sacrificing constantly, always on. But the people I keep finding, the ones who quietly crossed 7 figures without it being a dramatic story, they're usually kind of calm about it. Not because they're exceptional, because they let the system be exceptional for them. They didn't fight themselves for decades. They didn't require perfect discipline. They just put a quiet engine in place, early, and let time do the heavy lifting. The million didn't come from a big moment. It came from 10,000 small moments that nobody noticed, including them. And the strange thing is, that might be the most human way to do it. Not through heroic effort, through a decision made once, quietly, when you were barely paying attention. Maybe the goal isn't to be the person who conquered money. Maybe the goal is to be the person who set up the right thing and then got on with living their actual life. The account does the rest.